Seeing the trail of destruction, it is clear that many have tried and failed to get here, and inside a delicate hand is bound by iron chains. Letting out a low moan, her expression reveals all her tiredness. Completely immobilized, the princess is chained and hanging in the middle of the cave. Without warning, a white dragon appears out of nowhere and breaks a pillar with its head. But before the beast can advance any further, our boy appears and throws a light attack directly at it. Invoking an ice curse, he freezes the creature completely. Completely trapped in the ice, the creature can only scream in rage as the ice spreads. Seeing all that display of power, the princess's mouth drops open. And to top it off, you can also see that our little baby is very beautiful. But soon after, disguising her shame, she turns her face away with an angry expression. Catching the hero's attention, she glares at him while our prota just turns around in confusion. With a slight blush on her face, she asks why he would go so far just to save her, admitting that he isn't that bad. Completely changing her attitude, she says that in gratitude, she will grant the greatest honor a knight could receive. And if he's willing, Grand Princess Olive of the Aslandi Empire offers the distinct honor of kissing his toes. Refusing the offer right away, our prota says he can't stomach dirty silk full of holes, leaving the princess in shock. Outraged, she shouts that all the men who came there obviously came because of her. With a smirk, our boy asks if she really thought he came for her. Floating in the air, the knight explains that there is no way to put a simple NPC on the same level as him. Adjusting his posture with an air of superiority, our little protega reveals that his objective there, from the beginning, it was just the evil dragon frozen next door. But suddenly, he notices the animal blushing and shouts asking the reason for the shame. While summoning his magical swords, the hero makes it clear that his ambition to marry the princess just doesn't spark any interest in him. Carrying absurd energy into his blade, he prepares for the final blow. Because for him, the most exciting part of this whole game is to defeat the dragon, and with a single attack, the mission is completed. Back to reality, our prota celebrates in the classroom, feeling like the true god of the game. But the joy is short-lived as soon after he gets hit in the head with an eraser. Completely irritated, the teacher curses him for wasting his brain on video games instead of studying. Continuing the sermon, the teacher shouts that with those notes, our boy can't even buy game currency. But tired of being beaten, our prota holds tight to the roll of paper that the teacher used. Completely shocked by the student's audacity, the master is speechless. Shining with a blue light, our boy asks the teacher to wait for him to finish what he was doing. Shouting the kid's name, the teacher freaks out, his eyes red with pure anger. And going all out, he tries to deliver the final blow. But our protagonist defends himself using the tablet. At that exact moment, the device shines brightly, and the world around it begins to dissolve into code. Being transported into the game, your real body merges with your avatar, and noticing the change, his eyes now glow a digital blue. Looking at his hands, he can't believe the situation, wondering if he has crossed over into the game world. Suddenly, your body begins to move on its own against your will, as if time is turning back. And being thrown back, he hits the head of the dragon he had just defeated. Upon impact, the chains that held the princess broke on their own, finally freeing her. Falling towards the ground, the girl ends up landing on something soft. Opening his eyes, our little prodigy finds himself on the ground, completely confused by what just happened. Realizing the situation, the princess finally understands what happened, while our prota screams that he can't move. With the embarrassed expression, the girl asks if his true interest is in the creature down there. Desperate, our boy shouts that it's not at all what she's thinking. Completely ignoring his outburst, the princess apologizes for disturbing their moment. And wishing the new couple all the best, she simply walks away, leaving our little prodigy behind begging for a chance to explain himself. At that moment, the dragon wakes up from the ice and snorts in anger right in our boy's face. Without wasting a second, the beast fires a beam of energy at the kid. Being thrown away by the impact, our prota flies through the air without any control. Falling in the middle of the smoke, the young man already accepts that his end has come. Facing the creature's shadowy form, our little creature accepts that he is going to die within the game. With his entire body in pain, he finally closes his eyes, waiting for the inevitable. But suddenly, a voice appears out of nowhere, finding the whole situation detestable. And to his surprise, a foot steps on his face, while a voice accuses him of stealing his first kiss. Revealing its true form, the dragon completely transformed into a white-haired woman. Lifting our boy's chin, the now human stares at him closely, leaving him completely unresponsive. Finding her new form adorable, the dragon girl complains that something is too heavy, but our boy is enchanted, thinking that even though she is the evil dragon, she is very cute. Annoyed by his laughter, the girl forbids him from laughing and slaps him right in the face. Without stopping the attacks, the dragon girl says that even a little laugh is despicable and that she can't help but want to whip him. Grabbing her tail tightly, our prota screams asking if she thinks he's a toy. Surprised by the sudden attitude, the girl turns red and doesn't react. And suddenly, the girl starts to let out strange moans, reacting unexpectedly to the touch. Without understanding anything, our little prodigy just watches her bizarre reaction, completely confused. Calling him a despicable outsider, the dragon girl asks how he managed to discover her secret. Noticing that the tip of her tail is shaped like a heart, our boy understands that that is the place that makes her most excited. With a mischievous look, he squeezes the heart-shaped tit tightly. Reacting instantly, the girl begs him not to continue touching her sensitive spot. Making a mocking face, our prota makes fun by saying that the evil dragon is actually quite useless. Completely humiliated, the dragon girl swears that he will pay for this, while our boy just laughs in her face. But the laughter immediately stops when a voice announces that the guards are arriving. As the guards arrive, one of them shouts that he has been informed that the knight defeated the evil dragon. Worried about more people showing up, our prota wonders why people keep coming. Finding her tail too suspicious, our boy knows he needs to do something, while the girl complains that it hurts. Deciding that the best option is to hide it, he comes up with a quick plan. And so, with an idea in mind, he grabs her tail to try to disguise the situation. Trying to stick her tail under her own clothes, he tells the girl to get in there, leaving her desperate. Right at that moment, the leader of the soldiers introduces himself, saying that His Highness can consider himself saved. But as they get closer, the guards hear a very strange conversation, with our boy asking her to relax. Completely confused by the scene they are seeing, all the soldiers stand there with questioning faces. Seeing the girl's expression of suffering, the leader of the guards is shocked, finding the scene simply deplorable. Pointing at our hero, the mustachioed man accuses him of doing obscene things to the princess in the middle of the cave. But suddenly, all the soldiers change their expressions and give him a thumbs up, telling him not to care and continue what he was doing. Without understanding anything, our little protégé tells everyone to wait a little. Turning to the guards, he asks if they really just called that girl a princess. And confirming it immediately, the leader questions how he can't see, leaving our prota shocked that they don't recognize the princess herself. Explaining the confusion, the leader of the guards says that the last time he saw the princess, she was just a child. Noticing the girl's beauty, our prota comments that she has grown up well, while the girl lets out a roar, and the guard questions her. Inviting everyone to leave, the soldier says that the king is still waiting for them. Pointing to himself, our boy asks if the guard called him prince, and the mustachioed man confirms excitedly. Celebrating with great enthusiasm, the guards declare him the great hero who rescued the princess. And whispering in our little prodigy's ear, the leader promises that any real reward he desires will be his. Disgusted by the idea, the dragon girl screams that she doesn't want to be a princess as she is the honorable evil dragon. Acting quickly to shut her up, our prota covers the girl's mouth with his hand. Hearing the muffled noise, the soldiers look at the scene in confusion. Making up an excuse on the spot, our hero says that the princess was just saying she was hungry in an evil way. And giving the order to leave, everyone starts to leave the cave. Lamenting his lack of luck, our boy thinks that in addition to being unlucky in the real world, he now has to face the consequences in the game. Whispering a threat in the girl's ear, he tells her she better cooperate with him. Frightened by the threat, the girl lets out a small scream of fear, and detailing the evil plan, he says he will make her tail go crazy and send her to a hell of pleasure. Cursing our prota under her breath, the dragon girl mutters that even under threat, she will never give in. Finally arriving at the imposing royal castle, the party enters through the main gates, and already inside the hall a gigantic banquet awaits His Highness and his guests. Pouring a glass of wine, a servant says that everything was prepared especially for her. Smelling the delicious smell of the food, the supposed princess's mouth waters, completely enchanted. Completely moved, the king cries when he sees his daughter Olive back in his arms after 10 long years. But the queen, a little suspicious, comments that she remembered her daughter having black hair. With a very strange look, Prince Lucky tells his mother not to worry, as his younger sister just developed faster. Relieved with the explanation, the queen agrees that in any case, they only stand to gain from the whole situation. Devouring her food like an animal, the dragon girl makes our little thing wonder what kind of bizarre family this is. Reprimanding the girl, a servant says that this is not the way for a princess to eat, and that she should use a knife and fork. And all helpful, the waitress offers to cut the chicken for her, saying it would be wonderful. Completely ignoring the advice, the dragon girl simply clicks her tongue and continues eating with her hands. And without thinking twice, she shoves a giant piece of food into her mouth at once. Chewing with her mouth full and making noise, she leaves the king and queen completely shocked by her lack of manners. Cleaning the bone until there is no trace of meat left, the dragon girl shows that she has a voracious appetite. And with an air of satisfaction, she displays the complete skeleton of the meal, squeaky clean. Remembering that Olive has always been a bit of a letdown, the royal family thinks the scene is normal, while our Proda is shocked that they remember this but not her face. But suddenly, the door to the hall flies through the air, throwing 2 guards inside on impact. Revealing the deception, a voice shouts that that girl at the table is not the princess at all. And with a sword on her back, the real princess enters the hall, declaring that the other is just an imposter. Recognizing the figure instantly, our boy remembers the girl he left chained in the cave. Without any ceremony, the newcomer climbs onto the table with a loud thud. Pointing directly at the king, she shouts for them to listen to her, as she is the real Olive. Finding everything very comical, our little child wonders if the princess by chance became the queen of the jungle while she was away. Completely lost, the king sees the dilemma of having 2 olives and suggests drawing straws to decide who will be the princess. Exploding with anger, the real princess screams that that old Gaga is not qualified to say such a thing. And attacking him, she grabs him by the collar, calling him a fool for not being able to even recognize his own daughter. With an expression of disgust, the girl says that this princess doesn't have a bastard, insensitive, trash-talking father like him. Shocked by his daughter's language, the king is left open-mouthed, finding everything very vulgar. But noticing the unruly attitude and lewd tone, they begin to connect the dots. And without a doubt, they finally recognize her as their real daughter Olive, to the complete astonishment of our Proda. Seeing that the family is completely dysfunctional, our boy decides it's best to keep his distance and tries to sneak out. But a sword flies towards him and sticks into the wall, right in front of him, preventing him from escaping. Being accused by the princess of having committed the crime of impersonating her and still trying to escape, he is left with no way out. Turning to see who was so bold, our boy comes face to face with the girl he abandoned. Trying to be friendly, he just waves his hand while the girl immediately recognizes him. Calling him the perverted knight who kissed the dragon in the cave, she exposes him in front of everyone. Hearing the gossip, the royal family gets excited about the story, leaving our little prodigy even more desperate. Making a drama, the princess says that the romantic image of the kiss is still engraved in her heart and that he seduced and abandoned her. And soon after, she accuses him of having an affair with the imposter, piggy and mannerless princess. Seeing that the other continues eating without stopping, the real Olive screams at her to stop eating her food. Catching fire with rage, her hair shines as she calls her the other one, and goes into a fight. But in the end, they both end up covered in soot, and our Proda, tired of everything, just says that it doesn't matter anymore. Shouting at our Proda, the princess accuses him of being a bastard and of forming a despicable couple with the other girl. Immediately afterwards, she orders the guards to catch them so they can be paraded through the city. But complaining about the injustice, our boy says that it was she who burned everything, and yet the blame fell entirely on him. Blaming the dragon girl, he says that if it weren't for her threats, he would never have come here. Without further ado, a guard stumps the ground and prepares to attack. And charging forward with a giant axe, the soldier tries to hit our little prodigy and the dragon girl at once. Hitting the ground with everything, the axe blow breaks the castle's floor and raises sparks. But to the soldier's surprise, our hero holds off the attack with just one hand, with a small smile on his face. Realizing the trouble he's gotten himself into, our boy can only think that the situation has gotten complicated. At that exact moment, the princess orders all the other guards to capture him at once. Narrowly dodging a spear, our Proda dodges multiple attacks, cursing their lack of mercy. Totally surrounded, he complains that he came to the game to have fun, not to get beaten like that. Deciding he's had enough, his hand begins to glow with a blue light, and he says he doesn't need to be polite anymore, scaring even the royal family. The intense glow leaves the king and queen completely shocked. Meanwhile, the dragon girl just watches the scene with a slight smile on her face. Summoning a sword of pure light, our boy prepares to unleash his maximum power. With his eyes glowing red, he screams and delivers a spinning strike that releases a massive energy wave. Seeing the display of power, the guards panic, with one of them already shouting that he is dead. But suddenly the powerful sword turns into a soft worm on the ground, leaving our protagonist outraged by the game's bug. Holding the gun, now all pixelated and misshapen, he freaks out without understanding what the hell it is. Then, a strange message appears in front of him, and the princess looks at him curiously. And the message reveals his new status, disqualified player, leaving our little prodigy in total shock. Seeing the pathetic scene, the princess can barely hold back the laughter in his face. Mocking mercilessly, she calls him a dog knight, saying that he really knows how to cut everything out there. With an air of superiority, she reveals herself to be an NPC of justice, saying that he overestimates his own importance. Completely shocked by the revelation, our boy can't believe what he's seeing. Saying that he never amounted to much, the girl draws her own sword, ready to fight. Asking what the hell it all is, he hears from her that it is divine justice, and he doesn't know what to do. Wasting no time, the girl's blade quickly flies towards his neck, and with her sword still, she accuses him of being trash for deceiving a dragon's pure and innocent feelings. Falling hard to the ground, our prota hits his back hard, leaving himself completely vulnerable. Without giving him time to breathe, the princess puts her foot in his face, with a horrible smell. Glowing with an evil aura, she prepares to deliver the final blow with her sword. But suddenly a white figure flies past and deflects her attack at the last second. Hitting the pillar with a bang, the princess is thrown away by the force of the impact, letting the sword fall. Revealing her golden horns, the dragon girl finally decides to join the fray. Falling amidst the rubble, the princess stares at the newcomer without believing what she sees. Tired of all that antics, the girl tears up her own dress, saying she has had enough. Grabbing our boy's head, she complains that he still dares to associate with that filthy sow. And completely transforming into a demon with wings and horns, she holds him tightly against her, leaving the boy completely in love. Squeezing our prota tightly, she says he's her long-term meal ticket that was just delivered to her door. Having a completely bizarre reaction, the royal family is enchanted by the dragon, with the princess saying that she also wants to feel her. Meanwhile, the guards have the normal reaction and scream in terror when they see the evil dragon. Spreading panic throughout the kingdom, the news that the evil dragon has arrived from the ravine spreads like wildfire. Away from all the commotion, another girl sleeps peacefully in her bed, oblivious to everything. Waking up with a fright, a girl screams in the middle of the night after a nightmare. Completely breathless, Saint Cassandra, protector of the sacred lands, is paralyzed with fear. At that moment, a voice asks if His Majesty the Holliness had another nightmare. Recognizing the figure, Cassandra calls her Countess Alices. Somewhat confused by the visit, the young woman asks why she came there. Bringing news from the Islamic land, the Countess approaches with a mysterious air. And soon after, she reveals that the matter concerns that dragon. Walking slowly towards the bed, the woman approaches the saint with firm steps. Squeezing her cheek, the Countess comments that it seems that the young woman is very afraid of the evil dragon. With a seductive look, Alices offers to join Cassandra in bed that night. Later, with the Holliness already asleep, a voice calls the Countess with all due respect. Outside, a cat girl accuses Alices of forcing her subordinates to gather information while she spent the night with the queen. Complaining about the scene, the young woman says that it is too undisciplined. But giving a very lame excuse, the Countess says that ensuring the sanctity sleep is part of her duties. Asking if the catgirl, Logis, wouldn't be jealous, Alices leaves her all embarrassed and stuttering. Extending her hand, the Countess asks Logis to hand over the information she has collected. But complaining about her attitude, the catgirl asks for a little more sincerity for once. Repeating the word sincerity, the Countess looks at her with a mischievous smile, and without warning, she slaps the catgirl, who screams in surprise at her boss's cruelty. Holding the card with the information, Alices makes fun of her by saying that Logis is always asking for attention, leaving the girl embarrassed. Reading the report, she finally learns about the knight who exchanged the princess for the dragon, while Logis is impressed by her power. Analyzing a drawing of our prota, the Countess comes to the conclusion that he is in fact a pervert. Meanwhile at the castle, our boy confirms her suspicion with a drooling face and a strange jiggle. Resuming the fight scene, the dragon girl and the princess face each other in the dust. And in a very tragic scene, the princess appears on top of a cannon, with an expression of someone who would rather not be there. Summoning her pet, the dragon calls for the flaming kitten to join the fight. And with her pet, she launches the evil dragon's thunder attack with everything at the enemy. Being caught in the blast of fire, the princess screams in pain as she is completely engulfed in flames. But coming out of the smoke with her clothes torn, she screams indignantly, calling the other an imposter. Pointing to the dragon, our prota says that she is a real dragon and shouldn't sell herself with this cute little scene. Pulling the rope tightly, the princess prepares for the counterattack, and shouting for the enemy to take a shot, the girl fires the cannon with a gigantic bang. Seeing the princess fight, the guards wonder if they really need to intervene, while the dragon dodges the attack without worrying. But instead of getting hurt, the dragon screams that it is very warm and relaxing, using her wings to protect herself. Completely shocked by the reaction, the princess cannot understand anything that is happening. Irritated by the situation, she fires the cannon several times in a row, but the other simply asks for more. Meanwhile, our boy just enjoys the smell of gunpowder, finding the whole scene of scantily clad women quite addictive. Disgusted by his attitude, the prince accuses him of being a pervert for spying on women fighting and for having seen his sister's body. Pointing at the royal family, our prota shouts that those two brutes have no morals whatsoever to say that. Thinking to himself, he bristles at the frustrating rule that unqualified players can't hit NPCs. Remembering that nothing went as planned, he concludes that that kiss was the real root of all his problems. Saying that he seems to like it, the girl claims that she will give him what he wants, as it is much better than marrying the sadistic princess as the story dictates. Unable to withstand the smoke attacks any longer, the dragon screams that enough is enough, because if this continues, she will end up exploding. Admiring the dragon girl, our little prodiga comments that no matter how you look at it, she has a much stronger feminine charm. Hearing the sudden compliment, the girl just turns to him, completely surprised by the unexpected comment. Worried about the dragon girl, our prota approaches and asks how she is feeling. Feeling his heart beat faster, our boy is embarrassed by her proximity. Grabbing the boy with all her might, the dragon says she can't take it anymore and that this desire could force her to sin, leaving him confused. But explaining that she actually wants the game's wave of immersion, she leaves our little protagonist furious at having been completely deceived. Shouting that she is going to bathe in magma, the girl runs away and leaves him behind completely in a vacuum. Grabbing her tail to keep her from running away, our boy reminds her that he is her long-term meal ticket. Seeing that scene between the two of them, the princess freaks out once and for all, questioning whether they really think there is still room for negotiation. Accusing the two of faking a romance, the girl pulls out a giant bomb, determined to end their fake love. Declaring that they must die, the girl sticks the bomb into the cannon, which complains that it will break because it is too big. Totally shocked by the scene, the guards scream wondering how something so big managed to fit in there, and firing with all their might, a gigantic ball of red energy flies towards them at high speed. Standing right in front of the attack, our prota and the dragon face death up close. But without being shaken, our boy raises his hand and summons his powerful thunder sword. At that exact moment, a colossal bolt of lightning falls from the sky and hits the top of the castle with absurd force. And channeling all this energy, our hero creates a thunder barrier to protect himself from the imminent attack. Creating a speedy defense, our defender attacks the ball of energy with a barrier of pure thunder. And with a small smile, he calmly watches the massive power coming towards him. Absorbing the impact with a bang, the barrier explodes into light, completely disintegrating the attack. As the dust settles, the princess wonders if the blow managed to land. But as he expected, his attacks may not work, but his defense is still very useful. Realizing that the attack didn't even tickle, the royal family is shocked by his resistance. Laughing at the situation, our hero gives the middle finger and shouts that around him, they are just crybabies. But suddenly, a strange light appears from the sky, catching everyone's attention. And a gigantic bolt of lightning strikes, shattering the castle's roof into 1,000 pieces. Causing the entire floor to collapse, our boy and the dragon begin to fall into a hole. Falling into the abyss, the girl screams that he broke the floor, but the kid blames it on the quality of the floor. And from above, a holographic message appears in the hole, with a very strange provocation. Outraged by the surprise attack, our little prodigy curses the trash that has no real power. Continuing to scream as he falls, he challenges the coward to face him face to face. But by acting quickly, our boy manages to hold onto the edge, stopping his fall at the last second. Emerging from the smoke, a giant white dragon appears with our boy on its back, wrapped in magical circles. Trying to explain himself awkwardly, our prota says he didn't want to save him but that he just fell on top of him, by accident. At that moment, a pillar of light rises from the hole with absurd force, while the princess and the guards watch from afar. And hitting the ground with a bang, the energy causes a gigantic explosion that destroys everything around it. Flying through the night skies, the creature now carries our hero away from all the destruction. Desperate at the scene, the princess screams as she sees her castle being left behind in ruins. Pointing to the sky, a guard tells His Highness that they have escaped and asks what their next step is. Very angry, the girl shouts for everyone to immediately follow her in pursuit. Flying over the city at high speed, our boy now rides the giant dragon as if he were his master. Feeling momentary relief, he thinks that at this rate, she will never be able to reach them in time. Praising the creature, our little prodiga comments that it's a good thing it knows how to fly, but the animal is confused by the comment. Revealing the truth, the dragon admits that he hasn't been able to fly since childhood, leaving our prota completely shocked. Asking what the hell he's doing then, our boy hears the creature reply that he doesn't even know. Suddenly, the animal simply stops moving in the air and our hero begins to slide, screaming in panic. Falling in free fall, our little prodigue screams desperately for the creature not to stop flying, but it responds that his warnings are of no use. Falling at high speed, the two crash through the roof of a barn like a meteor, and landing with a crash in the middle of the hay. The fall scares two cows that were nearby. Coming out of the dust, our boy becomes confused among the animals, who moo curiously. Then, a calf comments to his mother that the girl's attributes are even greater than hers. Gritting his teeth, our prota mutters that the sensation of falling was simply unbearable. Completely squeezed beneath the dragon girl, the tightness of the haystack makes them both very uncomfortable. But with his eyes turning into hearts, our little prodigy offers to take off her clothes right away. Jumping on the girl with all his might, he leaves her desperate while the cows just watch the scene. But a giant cleaver sticks into the wood right in front of him, preventing his progress. Turning to the side, he questions the boss of the place, asking if the sign didn't say that the business closed on Sundays. Holding a long pipe, a voice says that despite everything, what he brought is very original. And revealing herself, a woman with white hair takes a drag, with a look of interest. Commenting with an expert air, she says that she has already tried wolf, bear and even lioness milk. Seeing that figure, our boy has another massive nosebleed, while the dragon looks at him with contempt. But with a smile on her face, the cow woman reveals that, until today, she has never had the chance to taste dragon milk. Apologizing, our prota tries to justify himself to the owner of the place. And with an awkward smile, he says that they are not there to sell anything, just passing through. But calling the kid ungrateful, the woman throws another cleaver that sticks hard into the wood. Seeing the gun graze past, our boy turns pale with fright at the less than friendly reception. Snapping her fingers angrily, the girl accuses him of refusing the blessing of the strongest merchant in the empire, saying that they don't seem to want to live. Questioning the woman, the dragon asks how she can be an imperial merchant in a dilapidated stable. Showing a scroll, the cow woman explains that she was only late on the day of the assessment, but that with her family's approval rate, becoming an official merchant is just a matter of time. Making fun of the situation, our little prodigy calls her the only reject in the family who never managed to get out of bed, leaving the girl furious. And without further conversation, she points to the dragon and orders that, anyway, they are going to sell her today. With an evil smile, she thinks that as long as that legendary evil dragon can be domesticated and turned into dairy cattle, the Imperial College of Commerce will certainly make an exception for her. But suddenly, the dragon's tail whips out and hits the cow woman squarely. Seeing the dragon girl with an unfriendly face, the woman is shocked by her attitude. Starting to cry at the same time, the girl complains that the other girl hit her. Beating the cow woman nonstop, the dragon screams that she cannot accept being subjugated by a herbivore. Observing the scene with a bored face, our little prodder thinks that the self-proclaimed king ended up just being scrap metal. But soon after, the dragon girl demands a sip of her milk, while our boy finds the scene quite interesting. Noticing someone approaching, our prota announces that Her Highness, the princess, is right there. Visibly irritated by the interruption, the kid grumbles that right now someone else has to show up. And outside, the real princess arrives on her horse, with a guard pointing out the place where they fell. Giving the order to her men, she orders everyone to advance and investigate the surroundings. Quickly, one of the guards asks a cow if she saw a half-naked woman and a useless man, showing a crude drawing. Shouting at the soldier, the princess calls him a fool for expecting a calf to know anything. Suggesting a better approach, she tells him to ask the mother to spare the child the shame. With a face of pure disgust, the prince just groans at the completely pathetic scene. Hiding inside, our boy and the dragon observe their laziness and call them idiots. Suddenly, our little Protagonist starts crying, wishing this was a harem game with hundreds of beautiful NPCs. Meanwhile, the cow woman looks out the window and is amazed to see someone from the royal family of the Islamic Empire. Admiring the beauty of the newcomer, she praises the princess's noble and brave appearance. Noticing the sacred insignia shining in the sun, the barn owner is amazed. And all excited by the sight, she wonders if it could be a newly arrived war goddess. Without thinking twice, the cow woman shouts to the powerful goddess, giving away the location of the two pieces of trash. But quickly, the dragon's tail whips through the air and hits the trader's face. Grabbing the woman tightly, our prota and the dragon girl shush her so as not to cause any more problems. Pulling her horn, the dragon calls her inferior cattle, saying she was almost tricked. Seeing the disobedient cow, our boy starts playing with the tip of her tail. And reacting immediately, the girl lets out a moan, feeling her entire body soften. Noticing her weakness, our little prodigy says with a mischievous smile that she needs punishment. Remembering the horrible trick he used on her, the dragon notices that the technique seems even more intense this time. With a villainous look on his face, he confirms that all beast girls' weak points are in their tails. All blushing, the dragon girl begins to imagine what it would be like if he did the same thing to her. Completely paralyzed and red-faced, the cow woman is completely at our boy's mercy. Drooling without being able to move, the girl becomes weak, and the dragon wonders if the sensation itself would be as exciting as it sounds. Thinking about how obscene she was with herself, the cow woman is completely embarrassed by her own reaction. Noticing how easily the cow fell, the dragon wonders if it has awakened some new type of fetish in her. Crying with rage, the girl calls him a big idiot for doing indecent things in the Islamic Holy Land, and squeezing her cheeks tightly, our prota orders her to say that the goddess of war must hold him responsible forever. Pressing the girl against the wall, he asks if she will report them as soon as they get out of there. With a scary look, our boy says that she leaves him no other choice, making the woman think that he has become terrifying out of nowhere. And with his hand approaching, the girl cowers in fear, wondering if he is going to kill her. But instead, throwing the woman over his shoulder, our prota warns her that she will follow them too. With a smile from ear to ear, he thinks that there is no way he would leave such a beauty out of his collection. Conformed to the situation, the dragon just says that there is nothing to do, as they have no other option. Surprised by the reaction, our little prodio can't believe she actually agreed that easily. Imagining the future, the dragon girl already predicts that he will pressure the cow using the tail trick, and finds the idea simply unbearable. Just then, the barn door creaks as it slowly opens. Seeing that the princess is right there, our hero points to a forest in the back, telling everyone to hide. Completely scared, the cow woman wonders if they really aren't going to kill her, just to make sure she keeps her mouth shut. Starting to change her mind, the cow woman thinks that maybe he isn't such a bad person after all. And already inside the forest, the group continues their desperate escape. Carrying the girl on his shoulders, our prota complains that that cow is a little heavy. With a face of few friends, the dragon suggests that since she's hungry, why not devour her at once? Slapping our boy on the back, the cow woman screams that he really is an idiot. Back in the barn, the princess drinks a glass of milk and spills it, dirtying her armor. Throwing the glass on the floor in anger, she shouts that they are still at large. Scolding the guards, the girl asks what's the point of having so many men if they can't even capture the targets. Trying to calm the situation, the prince tells his sister not to worry as she gained nothing from that useless chase. Irritated, the princess retorts that if it wasn't enough that he indulged in debauchery, he was also useless and had no morals to speak of. With a convinced smile, the brother admits that he may not be good at other things, but, when it comes to women, no one understands more than him. Smelling the air deeply, he claims he smelled the excessive taste of female hormonal secretions a short time ago, and raising 2 fingers, the nobleman reveals that, above all, there were 2 of them, leaving his sister shocked. Kicking the barn door open, he assumes they have gone deeper into the forest, and with an inviting smile the prince asks why they don't get them back in time. With a look of few friends, the princess warns that no one better try to deceive her. Heading towards the forest, she guarantees that she will capture the fugitives on her own. Meanwhile, the prince watches everything from afar with a very suspicious smile on his face. Trembling with fear, the guards warn that the kingdom's borders are infested with terrible monsters. But waving his hand dismissively, the nobleman states that there will be no problem as long as he is present. Pointing to the cowards, he orders them to wait right there if they are that scared. And celebrating their day off, the soldiers wish them good luck while the prince walks away with disinterest. Already in the middle of the forest, the princess draws her sword and swears that that knight will not be able to escape. Right behind her, her brother displays a sinister look, whispering that his own sister isn't going anywhere either. Landing on a sharp point, a dragonfly observes the scene while a voice calls someone a filthy pig. Completely without energy, the dragon girl complains that she is starving. Thrown on the floor with their bellies growling loudly, our protagonist admits that the situation is ugly for everyone. Regretting his choice, our little prodigar realizes that it was a mistake to have sent the cow to get supplies. Emerging from the bushes, the merchant announces that she has finally managed to return. Bringing only a handful of fruit, the girl apologizes for not having found anything more than that. Devouring the apple with gusto, the cow woman doesn't even care about the dirt while shouting that the thing is delicious. And offering the fruits to the rest of the crowd, she encourages them both to try the snack too. But making a disgusted face, the dragon girl states that she only wants meat, and asks why the bush would be enough. Lying on the trunk with an air of superiority, the dragon complains that only inferior animals eat this kind of poor food. While our prota enjoys the apple, he becomes distracted thinking about where exactly that tail grew. Pointing her finger angrily, the shopkeeper tells the slacker to hunt for her own food instead of disturbing those who work. Mumbling about the difference in level between them, the girl makes it clear that she would never accept being a slave if she had the strength. Whimpering in pain with her leg bleeding, the cow woman reveals that she suffered too much to be able to bring the fruits. Showing the cut with a crying expression, she complains that the wound hurts like hell. Suddenly, the dragon girl grabs her leg and says that she found some juicy meat to try right now. Pulling the other's member towards her mouth, the dragon ignores the poor thing's screams that call her a pervert. Observing the girl's body closely, the beast seems determined to take a bite no matter what. Jumping into the middle of the mess with a smile, our little propai warns that the two don't need to fight anymore. Ordering the beauties to loosen up immediately, the boy takes advantage of the chaos to rub himself against them. Grabbing them both with great excitement, our boy asks that any malicious scheme be resolved directly with him. Taking a double punch from the girls, our prota flies away with an absurd nosebleed. Falling on the ground with his head smoking, he hears the dragon say that that plan wasn't quite what she imagined. Shouting at the kid for putting himself in danger just to not lose the cow, the little beast gets indignant. With a sad look and flushed cheeks, the girl regrets that after so long he still chooses another. Trying to explain himself desperately, our boy states that he actually admires the dragon too much to leave her aside. Facing her with complete certainty, the prota guarantees that there are no doubts about what he feels. Bringing his face closer with malice, the hero asks if for a moment she would agree to let him enter. Posing and showing all her beauty, the dragon girl asks if she really needs to explain herself like that. Having another episode with his nose gushing blood, our little protege can't believe what he's seeing. Placing her finger on her lips with a seductive look, the girl asks if he wants a little pleasure. All excited about the offer, the prota promises to give her much more since it doesn't make any difference. Pulling one of the accessories from her head with force makes the object come out with a loud noise. Starting at the cow woman, the dragon shouts that she won't let her have all the food. Pointing at the beast, completely shocked, our boy asks how the hell she managed to get that out of her head. Realizing that he got everything wrong, the kid looks like he doesn't know where to put his face. Screaming angrily, our boy denies that he was going to eat the merchant while the dragon angrily asks who gave him permission. Falling on the ground and crying a lot, the cowgirl casts a bizarre curse, wishing the beast to suffer from eternal gas after each meal. Frightened by the severity of the plague, the hero can hardly believe that someone would have the courage to wish for something so terrible. Desperately asking for help, the merchant screams for help while the dragon states that she loves prey that make noise and that no one will come to save her. Looking around suspiciously, the beast warns that the others should not think that they will get what they want just because they are alone in the woods. Hearing screams coming from the forest, the dragon girl is irritated by the interruption from someone she calls despicable scum. Acting quickly to avoid problems, our prota covers the dragon's mouth with his hand and tells her to stay very still. Entering the scene with everything, a sword shines as it is stuck into the ground while the noise of footsteps echoes through the woods. Hiding in the bushes, the three notice the arrival of the goddess of war and remain paralyzed, watching the movement. Trembling with hatred, the real princess realizes that her brother has hidden his power all this time and feels trapped. With a sadistic look, the prince warns her that this is not the imperial palace, and that it will not be easy for her to escape from his hands. Wounded in the arm and dying of rage, the princess realizes that she was deceived and that the objective was never to chase the knight. Mocking his sister, the prince asks what would be the point in hunting a simple fugitive, when he has much more interesting plans. Laughing loudly at an evil plan, the villain claims that he brought her to that isolated place for a special and dark reason. Going forward with horrible intentions, the prince scares his own sister who screams in despair, calling him human trash. Furious with the insult, the prince grits his teeth and asks if she has the courage to use the title he hates most. Remembering the past, he accuses his sister of always despising him since they were children, as if he were a filthy cockroach. Desperate with the rejection, the nobleman freaks out with his hands on his head, shouting that no matter what he does, she always considers him trash. Completely confused by the scene, the princess asks what the hell happened to him, not understanding the sudden change in attitude. Screaming that he just wanted to get more and more dirty with her, the prince grabs her with all his might, while the girl calls him a pervert. Moving his hand quickly, he says that if he's as dirty as she thinks, at least this way she won't be able to despise him anymore. Going all out, he invites her to become the scum of the royal lineage together, but the princess shouts no. Observing the bizarre scene, our protagonist is shocked by the subhuman's attitude, while the dragon asks him to release her. Laughing like a madman, the villain boasts about his dragon claws, saying that it is not easy to escape from them as they were trained to grab things. Clenching his fist tightly, our boy curses the situation, completely irritated by what he's seeing. Deciding he can't stand by, our hero knows that being passive is not the right way for a man to act. Thinking quickly of a solution, he hides in the bushes, looking for an opening to do something. Suddenly, a stone flies and hits the prince in the head, who screams the name of the bastard who hit him. Coming out of the woods, the cow woman appears with all her might, shouting for him to release the goddess of war immediately. Realizing that the plan went completely wrong, our little prodigy screams in despair that he now has no other choice. Pointing her finger angrily, the cow woman calls him trash, who sullies the royal name, and says she will no longer allow the dishonor of the goddess of war. With a face like a fool in love, the prince is all excited by the beauty of the newly arrived cow girl. Turning to his sister with a smile, the nobleman asks why she never told him she had such beautiful friends, but the girl denies knowing the merchant. Shouting at the newcomer not to get involved, the princess warns that that guy is not someone she can face. Asking the goddess of war not to worry, the merchant admits that she may not be his match. But pushing our boy forward, she completes the sentence with a confident little smile. And revealing her plan, she says that the knight next door has a chance of winning, leaving our prota embarrassed. Completely not understanding the scene, the two brothers stand there looking at our hero with a questioning look on their faces. Showing the middle finger angrily, our little prodigy asks what they mean by all that disgust, since he only came to help. Outraged by the princess's look of hopelessness, our boy tells her to take back what she said right away. Grabbing our hero by the collar, the prince calls him a noisy knight and reveals that he has wanted him dead for a long time. Accusing the powerless, useless man of having made Olive fall in love, the villain reveals his envy, while our protagonist questions whether he is lucky. And lifting our little protege by the neck, the nobleman freaks out once and for all, shouting why all this is happening. Completely distraught with envy, the prince shouts asking why our boy has so many beast girls around him. Choking and having difficulty speaking, our hero just raises 2 fingers and says he thinks 2 are enough for him. Shouting at our prota, the prince accuses him of showing off on purpose, while the kid trembles in pain. With an evil smile, the nobleman asks about the little dragon inseparable from him. And provoking even more, he questions whether the girl won't come out of hiding to save him. Hiding in the middle of the bush, the dragon is conflicted, as she needs to protect her meal ticket, but is afraid of the thing's grabber. Mocking our hero, the villain says that it seems like even she hates his filth, a guy who can't do anything. But retaliating with a provocation, our boy says that, if I'm not mistaken, he knows a guy who trembles under his mother queen's skirt. And revealing the coward's identity, he asks if someone who lures girls to deserted places can only be the trash prince. Completely possessed by rage, the nobleman shouts asking what he said and challenges him to repeat it. Tired of being beaten, our prota says he won't let his dog ears hear any more jokes. Giving a villainous laugh, the prince threatens him, saying that if he doesn't speak now, then he will never speak again, leaving our boy desperate, thinking that his end has come. But suddenly looking closer, our little thing notices something very strange and asks to wait a little. Seeing the text over the enemy's head fail, he wonders if his eyes are deceiving him. Suddenly, the text begins to break apart into pixels, as if the game system was buggy. And to our hero's utter shock, the prince's status suddenly changes to disqualified NPC. Being suffocated, our protagonist theorizes that perhaps in this game, everyone has an already established life path. And if any abnormal behavior appeared, going against the character's script, he would be punished. Concluding his reasoning, he understands that the person would simply be considered disqualified by the system. Confirming the theory, the prince shouts that that maniac violated the initial settings and tells him to go to the prison. But now, with both of them disqualified, our boy takes advantage of the opportunity and gives the villain a hard slap on the head. And without giving him time to breathe, our prota throws him to the ground with a violent impact, asking how he dares to explore him. Delivering a merciless beating, our boy beats the nobleman while the princess and the merchant watch everything in shock. Impressed by the scene, the dragon even comments that now our little prota is her father. Completely finished on the floor, the useless bastard can hardly believe how quickly the tables turned. Hearing a strange beeping sound, our team ready to attack, confused by the noise that just appeared. Suddenly, a progress bar appears showing a tiny value of just 20 out of 10,000. Totally lost, our boy wonders what the hell that clean slate bar means. In the meantime, the prince gets up and hits a tree with everything bleeding from the mouth. Soon after, the bar rises one more point and our prota notices that the value has changed. And to test his theory, he punches the nobleman in the face again, making the villain scream in pain as the value rises again. Hitting even harder, our prota increases the score by 2 more, while the prince shouts at him to stop it. Realizing that the more he hits, the more points he earns, our boy decides that he's had enough of fighting for now. But seeing that the nobleman has already surrendered with a white flag, our leader thinks that since he got there, why not use that trash as a punching bag to relieve all the accumulated stress? At that exact moment, the princess picks up the sword that was lying on the ground, deciding to join the fight. And to our hero's shock, she begins to stab her own brother without mercy. Calling the nobleman trash with an absurd fury, the girl shows that she is not kidding. Landing blows without stopping, she calls him a mama's boy and a pervert, swearing that she's going to kill him right there. Completely out of control, the girl calls him a royal dog and a filthy pig, saying that what he did is unforgivable. Threatening to tear 5,000 parts of him, she leaves our little Procket and the 2 girls completely terrified by the scene. Seeing all that outbreak of violence, the merchant realizes that the goddess of war is nothing like she imagined. Deciding not to stay to see the end of the story, our boy grabs the 2 girls to get away as quickly as possible. And suggesting that it is better not to disturb the princess, he runs away while the dragon immediately agrees. But the escape is interrupted by a voice that tells everyone to stop right now. Stepping on the head of her already passed out brother, the princess says that it is very rude to leave so quietly. Maintaining her imposing posture, the princess calls him rude as always, without flinching. Noticing that her settings weren't affected by anything, our prota calls her the biggest bug in the game. Desperate to save himself, our boy screams that he isn't with them, but the dragon tells him to do something before she is torn into 5,000 pieces. Raising her hand with a dark look, the princess prepares to attack, leaving our prota in a panic. Completely terrified by her approach, our hero screams at her not to come any closer. But instead of a blow, her hand just lands gently on his head, leaving our boy without understanding anything. Completely changing her attitude, she praises him for saving her despite their differences, saying she never imagined someone could be so sweet. Suggesting that they forget everything that happened, her sudden charity leaves our little prodigy even more terrified. With a flushed face, she concludes that after all, this princess is not the cruel and heartless prince. Dotting that scene, our protagonist shouts that she is, and wonders who the hell she really is. Revealing his bizarre condition, she shows him her foot and says that all he needs to do is kissing her toes to show loyalty, making our little prodigy realize that it wouldn't be that easy. With a provocative look, she tells him to hurry up and refuse the offer at once. After all, while hiding a sword behind her back, she thinks that everyone who sees her in this vulnerable state must perish. Breaking all expectations, our boy simply grabs her foot and licks it heartily. Completely shocked by his attitude, the princess lets out a little scream of surprise, and while our boy continues to lick her foot, she remains unresponsive, with the dragon observing everything with contempt. With a drooling face, our prota asks if that's enough, while the girl calls him weird. Suddenly having a spasm and screaming, the princess completely loses her balance. With an excited smile, our boy warns her to be careful. And holding her on his lap, he asks her highness not to get excited, leaving her embarrassed. With a seductive look, he calls her a clumsy little girl with feet as sweet and soft as a rose, but she tells him to shut up, saying it's the kind of thing any man would tempt. Our prota leaves her blushing, and she admits she wants to hear more. Licking his lips, our hero says he can't hold back any longer, while the princess begs him not to continue. Holding her hand firmly, he offers to personally comfort her every corner. Reacting with moans of pleasure, the princess seems to really enjoy the situation. But suddenly, she slaps him hard in the face, shouting at him to get away from her. Lying on the ground and massaging her foot, she admits defeat but calls him vile because of her leg. With a handprint on his face, our boy says he already expected that from a dog that lived with a dragon, too fresh for his action. And posing all confident, he comments that nowadays, this guy is more electrifying than ever, leaving the girls impressed. Drooling at the scene, the dragon girl comments that today that filthy pig tastes especially sweet and greasy. But deciding that it's best to run away from that degenerate, the princess prepares to get out of her way before things get ugly. Lamenting her bad luck, she wonders why these things never happened when she was trapped in the dragon's cave. Absent-mindedly, she ends up hitting a guard, who appears out of nowhere in the head, and wonders if her luck could get worse. Finding His Highness on the ground, the guard approaches, excited to finally find her. Explaining the delay, the soldier says that since she and the prince were missing for so long, everyone thought something bad had happened. Suddenly, his expression changes to one of pure confusion. Pointing to the girl with doubt, he begins to wonder if that girl isn't. But before finishing, he points to the pixelated body of the prince lying nearby. Covering his mouth in shock, the mustachioed man turns pale at the scene he is seeing. Quickly, the princess grabs it and pretends that it is just the remains of a giant animal with digestive problems. Shouting at the soldier, she makes it very clear that there is no way that is Prince Lackey's body. However, understanding everything wrong, the guard says that it really was the nobleman's body, and that at first glance he had thought it was just an animal. Realizing the mistake, the soldier stutters the word body, while the princess stares at him in silence. Grabbing the mustachioed man from behind, she chokes him while he screams in despair that he will die if she doesn't stop. Screaming in panic, one of the guards freaks out when he sees the princess choking his co-worker. Using a makeshift megaphone, another soldier spreads the gossip that Princess all I've got the prince beaten. Emerging from the bushes, a rookie recruit hears the shouting and wonders what the hell is going on. But interpreting the gossip in the worst possible way, the young man panics thinking that the princess made the nobleman do something else. Exchanging a very awkward look, the guard and the princess are completely embarrassed by the situation. Observing everything from the top of a tree, a soldier with strange armor just analyzes the kiosk below. Shouting from the branch, the other gossip spreads yet another bizarre version of the story, making the cow woman cover her ears. And with the confusion created, the leader gives the order to retreat to bring the news to the palace as quickly as possible. Suddenly changing her mind, the princess concludes that maybe it won't be so bad if this whole story gets out. Meanwhile, back at the imposing royal castle, the news arrives with the force of a hurricane. Banging his fist on the table, the king explodes with anger and asks what the joke is. Reporting to his superiors, the messenger says that Princess Olive threatened to Kermit them both. Without understanding any of the slang, the king asks what the hell it means, while the queen consults a dictionary. Quickly, one of the guards comes forward and, with a knowing air, says he can explain the term without any problems. Revealing that the word means to kill a monarch, the soldier leaves the king and queen completely terrified with the threat of death.